It is Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Less than 2 weeks till Christmas. Does that stress you out? Well, I got a question. Are you ready for week 2 of the Advent for Rookie series? My name is Carlos Enrique Whittaker Guzman Cabello, and welcome to the Carlos Whittaker Podcast. It's episode 47. 47. Oh, and we're now as old as my wife. Wait, am I supposed to say that? Is she 46? She may be 46. Sorry, babe. We're getting close to 51. That's when we're going to celebrate. But that's not going to happen until next year because, can I tell you something? This, as we fade out Dr. Delight, this is the next to last episode of the year. That being said, I think last week I said that we had 3 more episodes left, but I lied. I didn't lie. Lying would have been telling you that on purpose. We don't have that many. We only have 2 left. Today and the next week. Yes, counting this one, 2 left. Which means, if this is Advent for Rookies, we did, what did we do last week? We did Hope last week. We're doing Peace this week. And then next week, we're going to do the last 2 themes of Advent. That way we can kind of get them all out at one time. So this week, we are leaning into Peace. Advent for Rookies, I talked about it last week. My family just never celebrated Advent as my kids were growing up, as they were little. And so I decided to lean in to what exactly Advent is for this podcast series. Again, last week we talked about hope, which is, basically the spark that keeps us going when everything feels like a hot mess. And the hope that I find in Advent, obviously Advent is a Christian practice. So the hope is found in Jesus. And this week we're tackling peace. And, I know what you're thinking. Like in this world, everything feels like a war zone. Everything. War zones used to just, was what like Wolf Blitzer told us was happening around the world. And now war zones are found in my Instagram comment sections. War zones are found around the Thanksgiving meal table. War zones are found, I've lost relationships over the last years because of political conversations. Everything feels like a war. And so how in the world are we going to possibly find peace when your family can't even agree on pizza toppings, right? Like, how do we find peace? Well, here's the beautiful thing about Advent and peace. Advent's version of peace isn't about fixing everything magically or pretending that chaos doesn't exist. Because that just can't happen. It won't happen. Especially in a society where we continue to find ourselves polarized because we're attached to these screens. The screen that you may be listening to this off of. Well, not off of. I mean, I guess you would be watching me on the screen. You know what I'm saying? It is going to be harder and harder to find peace in the midst of such division. But here's the thing. How do we find that deep, steady calm even when the world feels like it's spinning off its axis? Like, how do we do that? How do we find peace when we feel like things are getting more and more divided? Can I tell you something? This is actually off of a website called The Perception Gap, which I found fascinating. Almost 2/3 of Americans describe themselves as either Democrats or Republicans. And with every passing year, each side seems to dislike the other more and more. We trust each other less and less. We start to fear each other. And we struggle to understand how those on the other side of the political fence could possibly hold so many wrong-headed views. But get this, this is crazy. The estimated proportion of Republicans and Democrats that hold extreme views, this is the estimated proportion by polls that just asked Republicans and Democrats like what they believe the other person holds as an extreme view. They believe that 55 Society believes that 55% of Republicans and Democrats hold extreme views, when the truth and the reality is the actual proportion that hold extreme views is actually 27%. From 55 to 27, perception, you guys can find out a lot of this really cool data at perceptiongap.us. So like, I feel like almost like we've got to, before we even can get to peace, we have to get to the place where we have to admit that we don't know. And that maybe our admitting of how divided we think we are, maybe just quite possibly, maybe wrong. So I'd love for you to think about that as we dive into like how can we find peace? So let's get real for a second. Global conflicts, political, drama, social media arguments, all the things, everyone's shouting, no one's listening. But I want to give you an example of peacemakers, right? We've had the Telos group on here, which are peacemakers. And I found another incredible example of a group that brings people together for peace from opposing political sides. They're called Braver Angels, which first of all, I think it's perfect that the organization that is trying to do something about the polarization in America across the political divide has to call themselves Braver Angels. I'm not quite sure why they call themselves Braver Angels. I'm sure there's a reason, but it almost feels perfect. Like it's almost angelic. It's almost like an angelic job that has to happen in order for this, or that has to be involved in order for this to happen. Let me read you a little bit. It says, "Fed up with today's politics? There is a better way. We're doing something about it. Will you join us?" Braver Angels is leading the nation's largest cross-partisan, volunteer-led movement to bridge the partisan divide for the good of our democratic republic. I mean, come on, there's a sentence right here that now, you read that and you think, oh man, that's awesome. Glad somebody's doing that. Every morning I wake up and I blow into this little black device that my wife still laughs at, but I love to because it actually tells me some things I need to change in my life in order to get healthier. What is this little black device I blow into? It's called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs, and it gives you a tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, your sleep, and even your stress management. That's right, all through your breath. All you got to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism. You can also breathe into it before or after workouts or meals, and you'll know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. You do understand that your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. And listen, Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health on the fly in the moment. So I need you to understand this. If you want to stay on track with your health this holiday season, everybody go to lumen.me/Carlos to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Carlos for 15% off your purchase. Lumen makes a great gift as well. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Currently, right now, I am selling my Instafamilia mug, Buenos Dias Instafamilia, on Shopify. I could not do it without Shopify. My documentary is on Shopify. My t-shirts are on Shopify. My sweatshirts are on Shopify. My mug is on Shopify. Everything is on Shopify. And without Shopify, I could not sell anything, because I'm using Shopify for everything. And I'm so grateful for how easy it is to set up a Shopify store, how easy it is to communicate with Shopify customer service. I built all the Shopify stuff myself at the very beginning before I had a management team, before I had Whitney from Wisconsin. And Shopify made it so easy. Nobody does it better than Shopify. Legitimately upgrade your business and get the same checkout I use with Shopify, okay? So sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Carlos, okay? All lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Carlos to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Carlos. But then how many of us are actually going like, yeah, I want to be a part of that? No, because we're so tribal. We're tribal in what what our desires are. And this is the hard stuff. Coming out of the election, we're bringing together we the people to find a hopeful alternative to toxic politics. The American Hope Campaign is equipping Americans across the political spectrum to work together and demand the same of politicians from both parties. The percent of Americans who always/often feel blank when thinking about political politics these days, exhausted is 65%, angry is 55%, hopeful is 10%, and excited is 4%. No, this is the wrong thing. So here's the cool thing. You got braver angels. Like they're literally bringing people together from the opposite side of the aisle. Like imagine sitting in a room with somebody that you completely and totally disagree with, not to argue, but to listen. And that's what I'm trying to do on my Instagram. I'm trying my hardest. And I feel like I'm capable of doing it. But here's the thing. More and more people want me to stand on an issue. More and more people are kind of like, they were into my phrase, don't stand on issues, walk with people, when I first said it, or maybe a couple years ago. And now they're just like, nah, can't happen. And I'm just going to keep being that guy. Listen, it's like the anti-Twitter. That's what Braver Angels is. And as I was looking a little deeper, like they've literally seen people walk out of these workshops, like not as best friends, but as human beings that are not dehumanizing each other. I love it. So if you go to braverangels.org, if that's something that you feel like is helpful, then do it. Check this out. They have these red-blue workshops that they do. And people that walked out of the red-blue workshops, 86% feel they better understand the other side that leave these workshops. That's mind-blowing. 71% of people that leave the workshops feel better understood by the other side. That's amazing. And 81% feel better prepared to apply the skills that they learned in these workshops. This is so freaking cool. It's just awesome. So follow me on Instagram. But I just wanted to let you know that there are peacemakers out there. There's people that are trying their hardest to bring peace. And I think that, Braver Angels is a great example of just that. Who are people in your life that you feel that way? Unfortunately, I think that a lot of people see peacemakers as weak. But can I tell you something? Let me tell you why. Because they think, well, no, they're not standing up for something that they believe in. They're just trying to make peace. No, can I tell you something? It is much harder to be a peacemaker than a war maker. Right? I've talked about this before. Like you can destroy something. Give a toddler a hammer and a Lego set and watch that toddler destroy that thing in 2 seconds flat. Give a toddler a Lego set and watch them take weeks to finish building what it is they need to build. It's much harder to build peace than it is to wage war. So don't let anybody tell you that being a peacemaker is weak, that being a peacemaker is easy. Don't let anybody tell you that, because it's actually the hardest of the jobs. So, this week in Advent, thinking of like, what does Advent have to say about peace, right? So the second candle that we'll light on our little pretend Advent wreath today is the peace candle. And it's almost like peace is saying there's a better way. Let's look at Micah 5:5. Okay, it puts it beautifully. It says, and he will be our peace. Now, notice that it doesn't say he'll sprinkle some peace around. He'll take some peace dust and go. No, it says that he is peace. Who is the he? Well, Micah is prophetically speaking of Jesus. So let's be clear. Advent peace isn't about fluffy clouds and rainbows. It's not about pretending everything's fine while chaos is dancing all around us. No, it's the kind of peace that can stand strong in the middle of the storm. What's the storm that you find yourself in? Advent, we can't sugarcoat it. Advent is telling us that the peace we will find is in Jesus. I need that desperately. I need that non-man-made peace desperately in my life. Like, if we look at Jesus, he literally calmed literal storms. Can I say literally and literal in the same sentence? Probably not, but I did. Like, he walked into tense situations with a sense of calm that disarmed people. And he even forgave the people that were legitimately murdering him. So Jesus's peace wasn't about avoiding the hard stuff. It was about transforming the hard stuff. So Advent invites us to lean into that kind of peace. So how can you do that? How can we do that this week? How can we step into peace? Just simple. It's simple this week. Like, we're not trying to make things complicated, okay? So let's get practical. Let's be peacemakers in a practical way. How can we bring a little bit more peace into our daily lives? Not saying that you need to start like some global reconciliation movement tomorrow. But I think we've got some doable things that we can do. Ready? Number 1, create your own peace zone. What's that going to be? Well, I just wrote a book called Reconnected, How 7 Screen-Free Weeks with Monks and Amish Farmers Helped Me Recover the Lost Art of Being Human. And in that book, I talk a lot about these peace zones. So whether it's, again, deleting Instagram for a day, you're like, my zone is on Saturday. One of the things that I want to help people get to is one 24-hour period a week where, and I've talked about this before, 24-hour period a week where you're screen free. And that is like in a row, if that makes sense. So 24 straight hours, not like 4 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday. No, not like that, like in a row. So I believe that 24-hour period could be a peace zone. And for many of us, you may spend 10 hours sleeping. So, okay, so now we're 14 hours. It's only 14 hours. It's not 24, because hopefully you're not on your phone while you're asleep. So like, what are ways that you can take a break from the noise and create a peace zone? Okay. All right, listen, I'm talking to all my last minute shoppers out there, myself included. You know how difficult and stressful it can be to find a great gift. Let me be honest with you. My wife, she's a great gift giver. My daughters are great gift givers. Me and my son, I don't know, we're just not really good gift givers. And I finally found a gift that makes me feel like the best gift giver. Absolutely. You literally have time right now to become the best gift giver in your family with what? A digital picture frame from Aura Frames. Loaded up with all your favorite pics, all the pics of you that you can give to your mom, you can give to your kid, whoever you want to just like upload a video or a picture to their frame, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to think about it. You can save yourself the hassle of last minute shopping by picking up an Aura frame now. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Even after you hand it off, you can upload new photos from the Aura app right then. You can have your kids upload from their phones as well if you're giving it to grandma or grandpa. It's an incredible, incredible gift. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames by using promo code Carlos at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Carlos. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. Did you know that Americans spend an average of 90% of their times indoors and take about 20,000 breaths a day? The indoor air we breathe is 2 to 5 times more polluted than the outdoor air, and in some cases up to 100 times more polluted, according to the EPA. And did you know that air pollution is responsible for nearly 7 million premature deaths globally? So what in the world do we do? Let me tell you. You get yourself an air doctor. What is Air Doctor? Air Doctor is a air filter that filters out 99.99% of dangerous contaminants so your lungs don't have to. Did you hear that number? 99.99. That's crazy. This includes pollutants such as allergens, pollen, pet dander, dust mites, mold spores, and even bacteria and viruses that make you sick. So listen, Air Doctor comes with a 30-day breathe easy money-back guarantee. So if you don't love it, just send it back for a refund minus shipping. Can I tell you something? The Whittakers have had an Air Doctor in their home for over a year, and we ain't sending that thing back because we love it. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code HUMANHOPE. You'll receive up to $300 off air purifiers, exclusive to podcast customers. You will also receive a free 3-year warranty on any unit, which is an additional $84 value. Lock this special offer in by going to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code HUMANHOPE. I think one of the things to do is very disconnection focused, where you disconnect from the noise, but also there could be proactive, actionable things that you do, like literally create a cozy corner at home where you can just be. Like, where is that place? One of the things I love about how my house is set up is my wife is literally every single corner of the house feels like it's a peace zone. Like there's just so many little nooks and crannies of breath that I love. And so how do you make those? I mean, just find it. Is that your back porch? Create a space where peace gets to hang out. And look, let me go ahead and be aesthetic guy. Throw a candle in there and it just feels a little better. So how can you create your own peace zone in your life? That's number one. Create one. Where are you going to create it? How are you going to do it? Okay, that's number one. Number two, let's pause before you pounce. We've got a new kitten here in the house, Stormy. And Stormy was found under a dumpster in Green Hills, Nashville, Tennessee, and was super scared of humans and now loves us, right? And so, but Stormy is in his pouncing stage where I'm just chilling and then he'll just pounce on me. And I'm like, yo, that's not peaceful. That stresses me out. So what we want to do is we want to pounce on people that we feel are disrupting our peace. That moment that somebody says something, types something, DMs you something, leaves a comment that makes your blood boil, or the conversation at dinner makes your blood boil. You're ready to fire off that snarky reply, right? It feels good. Feels good to do it. What I've done is I pause before I pounce. Now, one of the things I do that helps me in this moment of peace, the pause before you pounce, okay, is I take a deep breath and I ask myself, do I want to bring peace or do I just want to win? 9 times out of 10, I want to win. And although winning is fun, peace is better. So one of the things I actually do is I will actually type out my snarky response. I'll type it all out. Then I hit select all, delete. And then I've shared this before, especially if it's people that are strangers that are yelling at me on the internet. I will open my camera and I'll hit record. And I'm like, hey, I just need you to look me in the eye. And I want to tell you that I see you and I know what I said to you frustrated you and I'm sorry that it frustrated you. We may not get to the point where we agree to disagree, but I want to let you know something. I'm grateful that you at least spoke to me and told me that you're frustrated. And can I tell you, again, 9 times out of 10, an apology comes back because they saw me as a human. And sometimes eye contact is the thing that helps you bring peace. So pause before you pounce. And then this is the hardest one. Look, all these things are hard. I'm not going to lie. We can call this Advent for Rookies. Let's try to find peace. But if we look at the life of Jesus and how literally the best peace that he brings us is because he forgave us. So how about you challenge yourself this week? I mean, do you have someone in your life that you've been silently feuding with, that you've just stopped talking to? What if this week you try to take a step towards reconciliation? Whether it's a text saying, hey, let's talk, or literally just letting go of the grudge in your heart. Forgiveness is like the ultimate peace power move. It really is. Gosh, Lisa Turkers, my friend, has a book called Forgiving What You Can't Forget. Because you hear that term, forgive and forget. No, that's actually not true. Sometimes you can't forgive and forget. So sometimes you can forgive what you can't forget. Pick that book up if you are having a hard time forgiving. So I want you to think about one thing. Where can you bring a little peace this week? Again, maybe it's in your relationships, maybe it's in your own heart. Peace doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to start somewhere. And next week, we're going to dive into joy, which, to be honest with you, is the most fun of all of them, I think. So we're going to get to joy, and then we'll throw the last one in so that we're like a legit legal Advent podcast series. I can't just do 3, I got to do 4. Hey, listen, thanks for hanging out on Advent for Rookies Week 2. Love you guys. Hopefully you have a peace-filled week. Jump into some of these things. And I will see you next week on another episode of the Carlos Whittaker Podcast. The last episode of the year. Be here, be square.